There's something I need you to hear, and I want you to hear it with the full weight of your chest. Because right now, without you realizing it, a woman in your life may be sending you signals so subtle, so quietly powerful, that you're walking right past them, and you don't even know what she's actually trying to give you. Stop scrolling for a second and just listen. If you've ever wondered whether a woman wants to open herself to you emotionally, mentally, and soul deep, this is where you finally learn the truth. And stay with me till the end because there's something important you absolutely need to hear before you make any move with her. And before we dive deeper, hit that subscribe and like button so you never miss the psychology that most men never get access to. You're about to step into her internal world, the world she hides from almost every man, the world where her body language shifts without her permission. Her tone softens in ways she can't control, and her instinct pulls her towards you even when she tries to hide it behind confidence, jokes, or distance. You see, women don't always confess attraction directly. They reveal it through tiny cracks in their emotional armor, through patterns they hope the right man will understand. And maybe you're that man. But no one ever taught you how to read what she's silently offering. A woman doesn't give herself lightly. When she does, it's because something in you awakens something in her. Safety, desire, respect, curiosity, or an unexplainable pull she can't rationalize. And before you think this is about physical signals, no, this is about the deeper energy she radiates only toward a man she trusts, with the softer places inside her. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever walked away from a conversation with a woman and later thought, wait, was there something there? Have you ever replayed a moment in your head, music, wondering if you missed a sign? Have you ever replayed a moment in your head wondering if you missed a sign? If she was trying to get closer but you didn't meet her halfway? Or maybe you've been in the opposite position where everything felt normal on the surface, but something underneath felt different, deeper, almost like there was a current you couldn't quite name. If that's you, then stay with me, because what you're about to understand isn't just about attraction. It's about awareness. It's about learning how to feel what she's not saying. And once you see it, once you truly understand it, you won't be the same man in her presence again. What you're about to learn will feel like someone finally switched the light on in a room you've stumbled through in the dark for years. So breathe for a moment. Let go of the need to overanalyze every interaction. Let go of that pressure to figure her out like she's a puzzle to solve, because she's not a puzzle. She's a pattern. And once you recognize that pattern, everything begins to make sense. She wants you closer, but she'll never tell you that directly. Instead, she lets the truth leak through the smallest behaviors, the ones she hopes you'll notice without forcing her to expose her heart. And this is where most men go wrong. They're waiting for loud signals, obvious confessions, clear invitations. But female attraction, real attraction, doesn't shout. It whispers. It shows up in the spaces between words. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're sitting across from her. Maybe it's a casual conversation, nothing dramatic, no grand moment, but something feels different. She's listening to you, not just hearing you, but really listening. There's a stillness in her attention. She's not checking her phone. She's not scanning the room. She's fully there. That level of presence is not accidental, and that's rare because music, most people, not just women, operate on divided attention. Psychologically, when a woman gives you her full attention like that, it means her mind has categorized you as emotionally relevant. And that's rare because most people, not just women, operate on divided attention. But when she's with you, her focus narrows. That's the first crack in her armor. And then there's her eyes. Not the obvious kind of staring, not something exaggerated, but subtle. Her gaze lingers just a second longer than necessary, not out of pure physical desire, but out of emotional curiosity. She's trying to understand you, feel you, read you. And here's what's fascinating. Research in emotional psychology shows that prolonged eye contact activates the same neural pathways associated with bonding and trust, which means she's not just looking at you, she's connecting with you. Now, most men miss this moment. They either look away too quickly or they misinterpret it as nothing. She brings up topics just to hear your perspective. And it might seem casual on the surface, but underneath something deeper is happening. She's testing emotional alignment because when a woman starts seeing a man as more than just another presence in her life, she begins asking herself, can I trust how he thinks? Can I respect how he sees the world? And every time you respond with clarity, calmness, and authenticity, you're answering that question without even realizing it. Now, let's go a layer deeper. You might notice that she starts mirroring you, your tone, your pace, even your humor. If you're calm, she softens. If you're playful, she opens up. This isn't imitation. This is subconscious synchronization. It's called emotional mirroring music. And it only happens when there's a desire for connection. Think about that for a second. Her body is literally adjusting itself to match your emotional frequency. That's not something she decides to do. And it only happens when there's a desire for connection. Think about that for a second. Her body is literally adjusting itself to match your emotional frequency. That's not something she decides to do. That's something she feels compelled to do. And when a woman starts giving you the gentler version of herself, the version she doesn't show the world, that's when things become real. Her voice lowers slightly. Her expressions soften. She tucks her hair behind her ear without even thinking about it. Her breathing becomes slower, deeper, more relaxed. These are not techniques. These are instincts, and instincts don't lie. But here's the part that separates the aware man from the average one. When she starts opening like this, she also starts paying attention to you in ways that go far beyond surface-level interaction. She notices your emotional shifts. You don't even have to say anything, and she picks up on it. Maybe your energy drops slightly one day. Maybe you're quieter than usual. Maybe something's on your mind. Most people won't catch that, but she does, and she won't always call it out directly. Instead, she'll check in subtly. A simple question, a small gesture, a quiet moment of presence. That's emotional investment. And a woman doesn't invest like that unless something inside her has already decided you matter. Let me give you a real-life scenario. There was a man I once worked with, confident, successful, but completely unaware of emotional signals. He told me about a woman he interacted with regularly. He said, "She's nice, but I don't think she's interested." So I asked him a few questions. Does she remember small details about you? Yes. Does she check in on you when you seem off? Yeah, actually she does. Does she stay present when you talk all the time? And I looked at him and said, she's already halfway emotionally invested. You're just not seeing it. This is how often men miss it, because they're looking for dramatic signs instead of consistent ones. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. When a woman wants to give herself to you, emotionally, she begins to reveal vulnerability in small, unplanned moments, not in a big dramatic confession, but in subtle glimpses. She might mention a fear, admit a mistake, share a dream she doesn't usually talk about, and in that moment, she's not just talking, she's opening a door. But here's the truth most men don't understand. That door doesn't stay open forever. She's watching how you respond. Do you listen or do you dismiss it? Do you hold space or do you change the subject? Do you make her feel safe or do you make her regret opening up? Because from a psychological standpoint, vulnerability is a risk. And when she takes that risk, she's subconsciously asking, is he a safe place or just another closed door? And your response determines everything that comes next. If you meet her vulnerability with presence, she opens more. If you mishandle it, she closes completely. No explanation, no warning, just distance. And that's when men get confused. They say, everything was going so well. What happened? What happened is she opened and didn't feel received, so she retreated. Now, let's talk about something even more subtle and incredibly powerful. Sometimes the strongest sign that she wants to give herself to you is when she tries to hide it. Her mind tells her to stay composed, to protect herself, to not make it obvious, but her body, her energy, betrays her. She becomes more aware of your presence, not in a nervous way, but in a deeply attuned way. She tracks you without realizing it. If you walk into a room, she notices. If your attention shifts away, she feels it. If your energy changes, she senses it instantly. You're observing, you're understanding, and that alone sets you apart in a way she can feel. And even if she pretends not to care, her body language tells the truth she won't say out loud. This is where awareness becomes your greatest advantage, because while other men are oblivious, you're present, you're observing, you're understanding, and that alone sets you apart in a way she can feel. Now, here's something most men completely overlook. Watch how she reacts when your attention goes to someone else, not in an obvious, dramatic way, but in subtle shifts. Her voice might get quieter. Her energy might pull back slightly. She might disengage for a moment, not to punish you, but because something inside her tightens. That reaction doesn't come from control, it comes from emotional investment forming faster than she expected, and she's trying to manage it without exposing it. This is the silent language of attraction. And once you start seeing it, you realize it was always there. You just didn't know how to read it. And trust me, you don't want a music miss that. And if this is already starting to shift how you see things, take a second, hit that like button, and let me know in the comments what part hit you the most. Because in the next part, we're going to go even deeper into the signals she cannot control, especially the ones that reveal when she's already imagining you in her life in a much bigger way. And trust me, you don't want to miss that. Now, let's continue because this is where things move from subtle awareness into undeniable patterns. The kind of patterns that once you recognize them, you can never unsee again. When a woman begins to feel that deeper pull toward you, something shifts inside her. Not dramatically, not all at once, but gradually, like a quiet current getting stronger beneath still water. And one of the clearest signs of this shift is how she begins to care about how she shows up around you. You'll notice it in the smallest details. She adjusts her appearance slightly when she knows she'll see you, not to impress him in a superficial way, but to align her outer presentation with how she feels internally. And here's what most men don't realize. She's watching your reaction not obsessively, but attentively. She's noticing if you appreciate it, if you acknowledge her, if there's even the smallest shift in your energy when you look at her, because in her mind, she's asking a quiet question. Does he see me the way I'm starting to see him? Now, let's go even deeper into this. When her emotional investment increases, she starts seeking your approval in subtle, almost invisible ways. She might share something she's proud of and pause for your response. She might make a small change and glance at you to see if you notice. And if you do, if you genuinely see her, acknowledge her, appreciate her without exaggeration, you reinforce something powerful. You make her feel emotionally safe to open further. But if you miss it or dismiss it, she pulls back just a little. Not enough for you to notice immediately, but enough to slow down the connection. Now, here's where it becomes even more meaningful. When a woman wants to give herself to you, she begins letting you into her inner world in ways that are deeply personal. She starts sharing thoughts she doesn't usually express. Not surface-level conversations, but deeper reflections, her fears, her past, her dreams that feel too vulnerable to say out loud to most people. And when she does this, understand something very clearly. She is not just talking, she is trusting. There's a psychological concept called selective emotional disclosure. It means we only reveal our deeper selves to people we feel safe with. And when she chooses you for that level of openness, it means you've crossed a boundary most people never reach. But again, this is where men either build something meaningful or unknowingly break it. Because when she opens up like this, she's not just sharing information, she's offering you access. And access is everything. If you rush it, you lose it. If you take it lightly, you damage it. But if you receive it with calm presence, without trying to fix her, without trying to impress her, just understanding her, she goes deeper. And when she goes deeper, the connection becomes something she can't easily walk away from. Now, let's talk about something that confuses a lot of men, her emotional range. One day, she's soft, warm, almost gentle in a way that feels incredibly inviting. Another day, she's playful, teasing you, maybe even challenging you a little. And sometimes she might seem slightly distant or introspective. Most men see this and think inconsistency, but it's not inconsistency, it's intimacy. Because when a woman starts showing you different layers of her personality, it means she's letting you see her fully. She's not performing anymore. She's not staying in a controlled version of herself. She's exploring how much of her real self you can handle. And this is where your emotional stability matters. If you react differently to each version of her, if you become confused, reactive, or uncertain, she feels it and she pulls back. But if you remain grounded, if you accept her range without needing her to be one fixed version, you become a space where she can be real, and that is rare. Now, pay attention to this next signal because it's one of the most powerful and most overlooked: proximity. When a woman feels drawn to you, she will find ways to be physically closer to you without making it obvious. She'll sit near you even when there are other seats available. She'll stand beside you in group settings. She'll lean in slightly when she talks, even if there's no real need to. This isn't random. This is instinct. From a psychological standpoint, humans naturally reduce physical distance with people they feel safe and connected to. It's called proximity-seeking behavior. And when she does this with you, it means her body already trusts you, even if her mind is still catching up. Now let's talk about her laughter because this one is incredibly telling. When she laughs with you, really laughs, not polite laughter, not social laughter, but genuine, unguarded laughter, you'll feel the difference. It's lighter, freer, longer. She allows herself to enjoy the moment without holding back, and that kind of laughter is a form of emotional surrender. It means in that moment her guard isn't just lowered, it's gone. Now, here's something even deeper. When a woman starts feeling something real for you, she begins to understand you. Not just listen, but understand. She asks deeper questions about your values, your goals, your way of thinking, and she's not interrogating you. She's exploring you because in her mind, she's starting to imagine something. What would it feel like to be close to him? And every answer you give builds that picture. Now, here's a critical moment most men don't recognize. She starts letting you influence her, not control her, influence her. She considers your opinions, she remembers your suggestions, she might even try something you mentioned days or weeks later. And when you notice that, when you see that she's integrating parts of your perspective into her life, understand what that means. She respects you deeply, because a woman does not allow influence from a man she doesn't respect. That level of openness is personal, it's intimate, and it's a clear signal that you're no longer just someone she interacts with, you're someone she values. Now let's move into a stage that's even more subtle, but incredibly powerful. There comes a point where her emotions begin to move faster than her logic, and when that happens, her behavior becomes more consistent, more integrated. She starts sharing her daily life with you, not in big dramatic ways, but in small, consistent moments. She tells you about her day, her little frustrations, her small wins, random thoughts that don't seem important, but she still shares them with you. This is not casual communication. This is emotional integration. She's weaving you into her world thread by thread without announcing it. And the more this happens, the more you become part of her internal routine. Now, here's something you need to understand deeply. When a woman integrates you into her daily emotional life, walking away from you becomes difficult because you're no longer external. You're internal. You're part of her mental and emotional space. Now pay attention to how she responds to your emotional tone. If you're quiet, she notices. If something feels off, she senses it. If you're distant, she feels the shift immediately, and she doesn't ignore it. She leans in, she checks in, not because she has to, but because she wants to. Her intuition becomes sharper around you, more focused, more responsive. And this only happens when there's a genuine emotional connection forming. Now, let me give you something very practical. Next time you're around her, don't just listen to what she says. Observe what she remembers, because when a woman starts recalling the smallest details about you, that's emotional prioritization. She remembers your favorite snack, a story you told once, a goal you mentioned casually, a moment you thought she forgot, but she didn't because in her mind, you matter and people remember what matters. Now let's talk about support because this is where things become undeniable. When a woman feels something real for you, she starts supporting you, not loudly, not dramatically, but consistently. She encourages you when you doubt yourself. She reminds you of your strengths. She stands by your perspective in conversations. She becomes your quiet backbone. And here's the truth. A woman does not invest that kind of emotional energy into a man she sees as temporary. She does it when she feels something meaningful, building something worth nurturing. And finally, one of the deepest signals before everything shifts into something even more powerful. She shows you her weaknesses, not all at once, not in a way that feels overwhelming, but in honest human moments. She tells you when she feels overwhelmed, when she's unsure, when she's not as strong as she appears. And in that moment, she's not losing power, she's offering trust. Because vulnerability is the most intimate form of emotional expression. And when she gives you that, she's silently asking, can you handle the real me? And how you respond to that question will determine whether she opens completely or quietly closes the door. And in the next part, we're going to step into the deepest layer of all, the moment where her feelings stop being subtle and start becoming certain, where she's no longer just opening to you, she's choosing you. And trust me, this is the part most men never recognize until it's too late. Now we step into the final layer, the one most men never see clearly until the moment has already passed. Because everything you've heard so far, the attention, the softness, the proximity, the emotional openness, all of that is the buildup. But there comes a moment in a woman's internal world where something shifts quietly, permanently. And when that shift happens, she stops just feeling something for you. She starts choosing you, not out loud, not in a way she announces, but internally, emotionally, instinctively. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss the most important transition of all. This is the stage where her desire for you stops being curiosity and becomes certainty. You'll feel it first in her emotional synchronization. She begins aligning with you in a way that feels almost effortless. Your pace, your tone, your rhythm. She meets you there naturally. Conversations flow without force. Silences don't feel awkward. There's a sense of ease that wasn't there before. This isn't coincidence. This is resonance. Psychologically, when two people reach this level of emotional alignment, it means their nervous systems have started to feel safe with each other. And safety is the foundation of everything a woman builds her deeper feelings on. You'll also notice something else. She becomes more patient with you, more intentional with her presence. She listens to you fully, not just waiting to respond, not distracted, not halfway engaged, but completely there. And in a world where attention is fragmented and shallow, that kind of presence is incredibly rare because something inside her has already decided, you matter enough for me to be here fully. Now here's where it becomes even more meaningful. She starts protecting the connection, and this is subtle but powerful. She becomes more selective about who she talks to about you, not because she's hiding you, but because she values what's forming. She doesn't want outside opinions, doubts, or noise to interfere with something that feels real to her. She begins to treat your connection like something private, something important, something worth preserving. And you'll feel it in the way she handles moments between you. She remembers them. She holds on to them. She doesn't treat them casually because in her mind, those moments are becoming part of something bigger. Now pay very close attention to this next shift because this is where most men either rise or lose everything. She starts letting you influence her emotional world. Not in a way where she loses herself, but in a way where your thoughts, your perspective, your presence begin to matter deeply to her. She asks what you think, and she genuinely cares about the answer. She considers your advice and sometimes even adjusts her decisions based on it. She becomes more open to growth, not because you told her to, but because she sees you as someone who adds value to her life. And this kind of openness is rare because women do not casually allow someone to shape their emotional landscape. When they do, it means trust has already taken root. And once trust reaches that level, she's already imagining something more. Now, let's talk about something that happens quietly, almost invisibly, but reveals everything. She starts imagining you in her future, not in a dramatic, fantasy driven way, but in small, real, everyday moments. She pictures your presence in her routine, the way you'd exist in her space, how you'd sound in her world, how you'd feel beside her when life is calm and when life is heavy. This is the moment where you stop being an experience and start becoming a possibility. And a woman does not allow that kind of thought into her mind unless she feels safe, unless she feels certain, unless she feels something real. Now, here's something even deeper. And this is where emotional maturity becomes everything. She begins sharing her fears about love, not to push you away, but to understand you. She watches how you respond when she talks about what hurt her, what she's afraid of, what she doesn't want to experience again. And in that moment, she's just speaking, she's evaluating. Is this a man who can hold my heart or a man who will mishandle it? And your reaction here means more than anything you could ever say. If you become dismissive, she closes. If you become overwhelmed, she hesitates. But if you stay calm, present, understanding, she softens in a way that is almost impossible to reverse because now she feels seen. And when a woman feels truly seen, she attaches. Now, here's the part most men completely overlook, but it's the clearest sign of all. She starts matching your effort without being asked, without being chased, without needing reassurance every second. She shows up, she initiates, she supports, she invests, and this right here is the moment where she chooses you, not because you forced it, not because you convinced her, but because something in you made her feel safe enough and inspired enough to open fully. And when a woman reaches this point, you don't need to question her interest anymore. It's there in her consistency, in her presence, in her effort. Now, listen carefully because this is where many men make their biggest mistake. When they finally see these signs, they rush, they push, they try to lock it down too quickly. And in doing that, they break the very thing that was forming naturally. Because what she's offering you is not something to chase, it's something to receive with patience, with presence, with emotional steadiness. She's not looking for perfection. She's not expecting you to say the perfect words or make the perfect move. She's looking for something much deeper: consistency, respect, emotional awareness. A man who doesn't panic when things become real. A man who doesn't disappear when things become deeper. A man who can hold space that without needing control. And if you can be that man, you won't just attract her. You'll keep her because what she's offering is rare. It's not attention.